Hello everyone, I am Dr. Rufus Vasantraj. I am currently working as a Senior Consultant and Orthopedic Surgeon at Rela Institute and Medical Center, Krompet. Basically, I am specialized in joint replacement, arthroscopy and sports medicine. I did my MBBS from Madras Medical College and then went on to orthopedic specialty training and also did multiple fellowships inside India and also outside India like Spain, Australia, Singapore and China. Today I am going to talk about calcium, vitamin D and bone health. Basically, this is a very important topic because most of us have a lot of doubts about calcium and vitamin D. If you look at the general population, a lot of us are vitamin D deficient, and calcium is something which is very important. Why? Because it is an important part of your bone health. Calcium is very important in building your bone as well as maintaining the bone strength. It also plays a vital role in your heart, muscles and nerves. So, when you look at this calcium has to be supplied to your body because calcium cannot be produced inside our body by ourselves. So, usually it is an external source which comes as calcium inside our body. So, how much calcium is required every day? If you look at men who are less than 70 years of age usually require around 1000 milligram of calcium per day, and men who are more than 70 years of age require 1200 milligram of calcium per day, and women who are more than 50 years of age require 1200 milligram of calcium every day. In addition, I would also like to stress the fact that overall, if you look, people who are less than 50 years of age can maximum take 2500 milligram of calcium per day, and people who are more than 50 years of age can maximum take 2000 milligram of calcium per day. So, this is an important thing which we need to consider because lack of calcium, for example, if children have lack of calcium, the bone growth is affected and they might not potentially reach an adult growth. Similarly, in adults, if the calcium level is less, they can develop various bone weakness and can lead to fractures and other complications. So, how to get this calcium? As I already said before, our body cannot produce its own calcium, but calcium is important in very important things like heart, muscles, nerves as well as bone. So, calcium usually comes as supplements. It is very good if we can take calcium from the natural food. For example, calcium is very high in dairy products like milk, cheese, yogurt. Calcium is also very high in green leafy vegetables like broccoli. Calcium is also found in non-veg stuff like fish with edible bones like salmon, and calcium fortified products like milk and other things are also very high quantity of calcium. We can also find calcium in the egg yolk. So, overall calcium has to be supplied through food, but for some people the food might be a problem. For example, people who have lactose intolerance, they cannot have dairy products. People who have inflammatory bowel disease or problems in the intestine cannot absorb calcium. So, again they require supplements. People who are on long term corticosteroids, that is steroid intake. If you look at steroid intake, it is not necessarily bad. Sometimes it is prescribed by doctors for treating asthma and other complications. So, long term use of steroids can cause calcium deficiency, and also steroids can cause avascular necrosis of your femoral head, that is your hip joint. The hip ball and socket joint can lose its blood supply, and sometimes patients even require hip replacements at a very young age. In addition, I would also like to stress that people who take a lot of proteins, for example, people who go to gym and try to take lots and lots of proteins, the proteins and sodium actually excrete a lot of calcium from your body. So, the more intake of proteins is not good for you because that itself can cause damage to your bones. So, when you look at the calcium other supplements, how to supplement, there are a lot of medications which help in calcium promotion. If you look at the common medicines prescribed, a lot of you people will be taking calciums, but you will not know what actual calcium you are taking. Calcium can be calcium carbonate, citrate, lactate and various forms, out of which calcium carbonate contains the maximum 40% of essential calcium, and this is very essential, and calcium carbonate is generally also very cheap in market. So, regular intake of calcium is harmless, especially for people like women who have attained menopause. Their calcium intake is reduced and the body production of calcium is also reduced. They can take calcium on a long term basis. So, taking calcium on a long term basis, does it have any complications? Yes. If you are having some heart related issues, sometimes calcium can interfere with it. So, calcium has to be monitored also, and always better to go with the doctor's prescription. Now, I discuss about vitamin D. If you look at vitamin D3 is the most important stuff. Vitamin D is very important because it helps in the absorption of calcium and phosphorus, the two important key minerals which are required for bone health. So, vitamin D3 is very important for bone health. It also plays a vital role in muscles, and currently a lot of studies are being done by doctors on vitamin D levels, and vitamin D is trying to be correlated with a lot of medical conditions right from your heart attack to everything. So basically vitamin D is a very important thing which every human being needs. So vitamin D, how to get the vitamin D? If you look at vitamin D, the requirements of vitamin D is 600 international units per day for adults and more than 800 international units per day for adults more than 70 years of age. This is very important because vitamin D intake has to come through some source. If you look at the sunshine, many people say that sunlight gives a good source of vitamin D. It's actually true. Morning half an hour walk, maybe around 11 o'clock is the ideal time for you to absorb maximum vitamin D. But again, if too much of exposure to sunlight itself can cause cancer and other related complications in your skin. So always be careful about it. Vitamin D is low for people who cover themselves a lot. For example, some people due to religious reasons cover their body. So the exposure of vitamin D is very less. So vitamin D has to be supplemented. Again, vitamin D supplements are almost similar to calcium. Green leafy vegetables, dairy products, egg yolks, all those things have high quantity of vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 can be also supplemented by tablets, powder form or injections. So this is also regularly being done. Sometimes you will be vitamin D deficient and a doctor is the ideal person to diagnose it. So basically you will require a blood test. If you look at the blood test, the normal value of vitamin D is around 30 to 100. So this is a very important factor because a lot of people will be vitamin D deficient, less than 30. In such situations, we normally give a weekly dose of vitamin D for almost 6 weeks. And after this, you can't continue vitamin D. The ideal way is to repeat the vitamin D blood report, because if you reach 30 to 100, you can actually stop the vitamin D, or if you are less than 30 still, you can give a monthly dose. The problem here is that if your vitamin D level goes more than 100, it can be toxic to your body and that itself can cause some complications. So always better to monitor your vitamin D and take accordingly. So calcium and vitamin D3 so far discussed are very important for your bone health. I would also like to discuss something about your osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a very common terminology used by a lot of people. What is osteoporosis? Osteo means bone, porosis means porous bone. So basically your bone is weak. So when your bone is weak, it can cause fractures. So osteoporotic fractures are very common in few areas of your body. It is your spine, hip joint and wrist bones. In addition, osteoporotic fracture can occur anywhere in your body. It can be most of the times because of minimal trauma. There is no need for you to fall from a height or a road traffic accident. All you need is a small fall at home or small twisting injury to various parts of your body can cause an osteoporotic fracture. So why osteoporosis happens? It can be age related. What we need to understand is that as we grow older, the new bone formation is reduced. Anybody more than 35 years of age, the regular new bone formation is reduced because we normally lose bone from our body, but this has to be constantly replenished by regular new bone. As age increases, especially when you are 35 plus, the new bone formation is reduced. So that is one reason for osteoporosis. It can be hereditary, basically it can be familial. It is more common in people who are Caucasians, Asians or people from different countries where like osteoporosis happens from generations to generations. The other thing is important is your lifestyle. Either you are too thin, like you are not eating properly, the general intake of vitamin D and calcium is reduced, so the bones will be on the weaker side and you might develop osteoporosis and osteoporotic fractures. Or if you are too obese, if you are very fat, what actually happens is all the muscles are replaced by fat and your usage of bone is also reduced in a lot of ways. So bone which is not used doesn't remodel much and again you have a high chance of osteoporosis and osteoporotic fractures. The other thing is nutrition. People who take a lot of intake of alcohol, they again like too much intake of alcohol can cause bone weakness and in fact it can also cause avascular necrosis of your femoral head, that is your hip joint, which again as I said before can cause a hip replacement surgery. And smoking. Excessive smoking is very bad for your bone health. In fact, even when we do operations for bone fractures, we always ask the patients not to smoke in the bone healing phase because smoking interferes with the bone healing. So the new bone formation is drastically reduced and this can cause osteoporotic fractures as you become older. There are various other reasons like people who are on long-term corticosteroids in general can also cause bone weakness. So how this osteoporosis is diagnosed? When you come to a doctor, the doctor will look at your clinical history, all your symptoms like vague pains here and there, some vague pains like small trauma and you have developed pain, all those things will be evaluated. The first evaluation will be an X-ray to rule out any fractures because osteoporosis is very common in causing fractures. The first is to rule out fractures. Once the fractures are ruled out, the next important thing is to look at generalized osteoporosis. The major thing was DEXA scan, DEXA, that is dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, which was considered the gold standard, and this generally shows your overall bone density and where the peak density is there. In addition, we also have a lot of recent investigations like single photon emission absorptiometry, we have quantitative CT, computerized tomography. All these things help us in diagnosing accurately the osteoporotic level, and so that the treatment can be started. So, once a patient has been diagnosed with osteoporosis, what can be done? Basically, we need to treat the osteoporosis. There are various ways of treating the osteoporosis. First thing, we need to rule out the cause. If the patient has got a bad lifestyle, like I already described, either the patient is poor in intake or the patient is over intake like an obese patient, all these things has to be corrected. Similarly, a patient who is a smoker, alcoholic, these things has to be controlled so that the bone health improves. And age related things and hereditary cannot be changed, but at least we know what has to be done. So, next thing is that how to treat it. There are various modes of treating the osteoporosis. It can be treated with tablets, it can be treated with injections, and it can be treated with various other modalities. So, if you look at the tablets, there are various tablets. The commonly prescribed ones are bisphosphonates. If you look at bisphosphonates, it can be given in a tablet form or it can be given in injection form. Injection form can be an yearly once injection, or it can be also a twice a year injection. All these things are very good in improving the bone quality. But again, the important thing with bisphosphonates is that long term use of bisphosphonates again can be harmful to your body, because that itself can cause pathological fractures. That is, the bone density increases so hard that it becomes like a brittle bone and can break. Pathological fractures can happen when you take a lot of bisphosphonates. And we also have various other modalities of treatment like SERM, selective estrogen receptor modulators, and other modes of treatment. So, when coming to the osteoporosis and osteoporotic fractures, the commonest osteoporotic fracture is in the spine. If you see, we call something called as a thoracolumbar junction, that is between the thoracic level and the lumbar level. So, this is the area where the maximum times we have the fracture, either the end of the thoracic level or in the starting of the lumbar level. This is the junction where the stable bone converts into a freely mobile bone. For example, the thoracic level is attached to the ribs and is a more stable level, but once you come to the lumbar, it is a little bit more mobile. So, exactly at this junction, you have a high chance of osteoporotic fractures, especially in older individuals. All you require is just like a forceful sitting down or like a small fall, and you realize that your spinal bones are compressed. So, the osteoporotic fractures in the spine is actually not a proper fracture like a break in the continuity, it is more like a compressed fracture. So, basically the height of the vertebral body comes down. So, depending on how bad the osteoporotic fracture is, sometimes you might even require surgical intervention. If the height is well maintained and the osteoporotic fracture is not much damaged, you can always treat it with some braces and tablets and injections and treat the osteoporosis. But sometimes the fractures are so bad that you will require screw fixations and other things. So, these things can be avoided, especially if you treat the osteoporosis in a proper way at the right time. The other important osteoporotic fracture is fractures in your hip joint. It is very common. Invariably, people who are more than 65 years of age, whenever they have a proper fall, they have a hip fracture. So, around the hip there can be different kinds of fracture. It can be a fracture neck of femur, it can be an intertrochanteric fracture, or it can be a subtrochanteric fracture. If you look at the fracture neck of femur, basically the head of the femur, that is the ball and socket joint, the ball completely loses its blood supply and you need to do a hip replacement. And depending on the age, if it is a very old individual, we might do a partial hip replacement, but relatively young individuals, we do a total hip replacement. So, when the neck of the femur is damaged or broken, it usually requires a surgical intervention unless and until it is like not much displaced and an early fracture where we try to fix it. The other thing is an intertrochanteric fracture, usually requires a fixation and we do not normally replace the head for this fracture. Similarly, a subtrochanteric fracture, generally subtrochanteric fractures are difficult to treat, the bone pattern is different, the bone healing is different, and a lot of people have complications, especially with subtrochanteric fractures when not fixed properly. The other important area where the osteoporotic fracture is in the wrist joint. We normally have a distal radius fracture, and depending on how bad the fracture is, the surgical intervention is decided. Sometimes it can be a very minimal fracture where it can be treated with POP, that is a plaster of Paris, but sometimes it can be a bad fracture fixation where it requires a lot of plates and screws to fix the bone. So, this also is very common whenever a patient, especially osteoporotic patients or patients who are older age group, they fall with an outstretched hand and they put all the weight on their wrist joint. In addition to that, fractures can happen anywhere in your body, especially when your bones are weak. So, if you look at the common areas of other areas where the fracture fixations happen are in your shoulder joint, where the proximal humerus, that is the upper part of the arm, can get fractured, and osteoporotic fractures are generally very badly fractured with multiple fragments. We normally call it as a 4-part or more than that fractures. So, all these things require proper fixation and usually the patients do very well after surgical intervention. But the key for an orthopedic doctor is not just to do the surgery, but also to find the reason for the fracture. Most of the times it can be because of osteoporosis, and that osteoporosis has to be properly treated like previously described. You might require regular injections or tablets which will slowly improve your bone density and make sure that you do not develop much of other complications in future. And a lot of people normally ask me a doubt about osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. Both are not same. For example, osteoarthritis is basically degeneration of your knee joint or any other joint in your body. So, osteoarthritis basically is like your hair becoming grey. So your joint becomes older. So in such situations, it is completely different from osteoporosis. So taking calcium supplements or vitamin D supplements does not change the arthritis. Arthritis is degeneration. So the knee joint or any joint in your body wounds out over a period of time. So that is a complete different entity when compared to osteoporosis. Many people get confused between osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. They feel that calcium and vitamin D supplements can improve your degenerative changes, but they do not help in your degenerative changes. So in this osteoporosis, I would also like to describe is that osteoporotic fractures in general are treated with lot of caution, because sometimes when we look at diabetics, for example, diabetics with bad osteoporotic fractures involving the ankle joint, we call something called as diabetic arthropathy. In that we are very careful, and sometimes we do not do surgeries to fix it, because fixations usually fail. The bone quality is so bad that they do not heal at all. In such situations, we fuse the joint. So basically your ankle or wrist or any other part of the body, especially in your ankle, the diabetic arthropathy can be fused. So the ankle loses its movements, but the patient will have good results in terms of pain management as well as fixation. Especially I also want to stress something for children. If you look at children nowadays, a lot of people are vitamin D and calcium deficient. It is mainly because of the factor that outdoor playing is reduced. A lot of people sit inside the home, they look at TV, they play video games. The activity level is reduced to a great extreme. When you go out, the two important things is that one, you are exposed to sunlight, so the vitamin D intake to your body increases. The second thing, the overall muscles, bones are activated. This helps in a good growth factor for your bones and muscles. This completely reduces when a child starts adapting a sedentary lifestyle, like completely staying at home and all those factors. Nowadays, the children intake also plays a very important role. For example, a lot of children have now reduced taking the dairy products. They do not prefer milk. They prefer artificial milk, or they prefer soda, those kind of products. All these products are harmful to your body, and also because of that, it replaces your milk products. So once you replace this, the overall calcium vitamin D in your body also comes down. So it is very harmful for the children. Similarly, I would like to talk about the older adults, especially people who are more than 65 years of age. As I already described, the calcium intake for more than 65 years of age requires at least 1000 to 1250 milligram of calcium every day. But most of these people do not eat enough food. So automatically the calcium intake in your food comes down. The other way of supplementing is your calcium supplements, which again a lot of individuals do not take. They do not take it seriously. They think that calcium is normal and all those factors, but as I always describe, mast cell checkup is very important for people who are 65 plus. In fact, nowadays we also advise mast cell checkup for anybody who is more than 35 years once a year, and more than 65 years at least twice a year. So in this mast cell checkup, we also look at various important factors like your calcium vitamin D levels, because this is a crucial part in treating you. Most of the adults, especially older adults more than 65 years of age, they have a calcium and vitamin D deficiency, which they actually do not know, and they keep living with it. So all of a suddenly they will have a osteoporotic fracture, because that is how osteoporosis develops. It usually does not show any symptoms. Patients slowly get into a slow phase, and suddenly they have an osteoporotic fracture. So this is an important complication which we look at older individuals. As I already described, this has to be treated in whatever way it has to be treated, like sometimes in the surgical intervention and sometimes non-surgical intervention. So older individuals and children are the two important factors who are mainly affected by vitamin D and calcium deficiency. In fact, vitamin D in younger children we call it as rickets. There can be bowing of your legs and various deformities, and this all needs is a very good vitamin D correction, and once the vitamin D is corrected, many children recover completely to a normal level. In older people also, the regular intake of proper calcium, bisphosphonates like an yearly once injection, all those things help you to come out of your osteoporotic state and prevent osteoporotic fractures. And I would also advise all the older people also to have a regular walk, which increases your bone density and overall the strength improves. So what I would advise is that for children especially, always allow your children to play outside and let them be as physically active as possible, because the growing child age is very important in various factors. The maximum intake they take is usually absorbed well, especially if they are involved in proper physical activity. Similarly, in older adults, what I would advise is regular walking. Many people have a doubts about walking. If you look at walking, the important things are two important things. One is you should wear a proper walking shoes. Many people do not wear a proper walking shoes. They try to walk with slippers, which is a very bad thing. The proper walking shoes is very important for a good walking. If you wear a proper walking shoes, the body weight lands uniformly and you walk in a proper way, so overall health improves. But if you wear a slippers, sometimes your walking changes, and this itself can cause various health issues and body pains. Second important thing is walking on a flat surface. I see a lot of people walking on uneven surfaces. When you walk on uneven surfaces, it causes uneven forces on your body. So you can develop back pains, knee pains, hip pains if you walk on an uneven surface. But if you walk on an even surface with a proper walking shoe, that is the best exercise to improve your bone quality and your overall muscle quality and your overall health for older individuals. So, walking is something which I would consider to a great extreme. Nowadays, we see a lot of people involved in marathon. Marathon is not a compulsory thing, but if you are good enough, you can always participate in marathon. But the key in marathon is to take it in a slow way. People try to overdo. Many people, even youngsters, they start with a half marathon, that is 21 kilometers, or a full marathon is 42 kilometers, and invariably they end up with a lot of injuries. Even though marathon is very, very good, it has to be taken in a stepwise manner. Many people start with a 5K run and then make it as a 10K run and then go for a half marathon and then go for a full marathon and then go for a proper Ironman or a half Ironman and then an Ironman. So, all these things are very important in your bone health, because the more you use your bone and muscles, the overall blood supply, everything improves and creates a good bone health. It also helps in a good calcium vitamin D absorption, and calcium and vitamin D levels are maintained to a good extreme. The other important thing nowadays I find is people involved in cycling. Cycling is a very, very good exercise, but again it depends on where you cycle. Sometimes it can be little bit dangerous to cycle on the roads, because when you travel in a cycle, every small things matter. Even small uneven surfaces can cause an accident. Similarly, cycles should have a proper cycling path. So, cycling has to be done in early morning, preferably in a good surface on a good road. So, overall today I would like to conclude that I have spoken about calcium, vitamin D, osteoporosis and various other factors which can affect your bone health. So, calcium is very, very important. As I said before, it is not just for your bone, it is also for your heart, muscles and for nerves. And overall calcium intake I have explained. So, the calcium intake is something which is very, very important. If possible, always try to take calcium rich foods. If not possible due to various other reasons, you can always take calcium supplements, and it should be taken in a good way so that your overall body health is maintained. Similarly, with vitamin D, exposure to sunlight is good. At the same time, make sure that you do not overexpose yourself to sunlight, and also vitamin D supplements can be given if you do not have a proper intake of vitamin D diet. And all these things can lead to osteoporosis, and osteoporosis is already described. It has to be properly treated, it has to be properly diagnosed. So, never hesitate to go to a doctor for an osteoporotic treatment. The doctor is the ideal person for you to diagnose it with proper scans, and once you are diagnosed, it can be properly treated and you can come out of all the major issues like osteoporotic fractures at older age group. In general, I would also like to stress the fact that how children and older individuals are a higher chance of developing bone and bone related issues. So, they have to be focused on how to develop it. Kindly take the tips which I have described. So, make sure that children are adequately exposed to outdoor activities. Similarly, older individuals should be made sure that they walk properly and have some amount of physical activity. The older people are very, very important. The more mobile they are, the less chance of them having any other systemic issues, even like cardiac and other major issues. So, kindly take care of your bone health. Never take it lightly, because bone is a very, very important part. Most of your body parts are made up of bone, and these bones are very, very crucial in your daily day-to-day activities. Any deformity or any problem with your bone, bony pains, always do not hesitate to diagnose and treat yourself, because it can be a simple osteoporosis which can be treated very well with various medications, and you can come to a complete normal life with a proper treatment. I hope today's topic was very useful for you. I will come again with similar topics which are commonly asked, and if you have any doubts, always reach to me. Thank you.